Hi, it's Nigel Poole, one of the team here at Christchurch Beckenham. I don't know about you, but I've been amazed, amused, and on occasions quite emotional watching on the news or on social media some of the creative things that families and individuals have been doing during this time of lockdown. If you've not seen it yet, watch the post of one family who reenacted the song One Day More from Les Miserables. Singing to a backing track, every member of the family had a solo, except they changed the words to reflect one day more in their household. From schoolwork, football, being bored, sharing or lack of it, being stuck inside, to the basics of daily life in the current climate. They even managed to wave a shirt on what looked like a broom handle as a flag to reenact the barricade scene. It was absolutely brilliant, but very, very noisy. In fact, most of the posts are just that, very noisy. And although I love all this stuff, I often long for posts that simply show God's creation and sounds in all of their glory. The wind, the sea, rivers, birds, insects, silence. They say the loudest sound of all in all creation is silence. I mentioned in my reflection last week that this time last year I was on retreat. It was a time to breathe, a time to reconnect with God, often in silence, often just indulging in His creation. And the Psalms formed an essential part of my recovery, and they still do. Waiting for the Lord became a reoccurring theme. Let me read part of verse 7 from Psalm 37. Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for Him. One translation says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. I sometimes think that the noise of social media, the news, our homes at the moment, not only drowns out God, but makes us less patient with each other. The psalmist reminds us how important patience is. And there's no better place to cultivate and display patience than simply waiting for the Lord. And it's there we discover just how impatient we are and what impatience really means. If we truly set ourselves to wait for the Lord, we'll realise and find that it's often with God we're really impatient. Why doesn't He just answer our prayers at once, or in our time frames or our time scales, especially in these difficult times? But as we wait for the Lord, so our eyes are opened to His timing, and so we truly trust and believe in His sovereign will. All the things in our spiritual lives, reading scriptures, prayer, the doing, all have their value. But ultimately they point the way, preparing us in humility to look to and depend on God, to be patiently waiting for His timing. And the waiting is to teach us our absolute dependence on God's working and to place ourselves at His disposal. And it's in the resting in the Lord, in His will, His promises, His faithfulness, His love, that makes patience easier. Resting in Him is being silent in Him, being still before Him. Richard Carter, a member of the staff at St. Martin's in the Fields, in his brilliant book, The City is My Monastery, says this: remember the description of creation in which God's Spirit hovers over the chaos and brings forth life in the world. The inner sea is our meeting place with God, who hovers over the waters of our chaos within and without, who breathes life into us and pulls our partners from our very side and breathes life into them too. God does not want us to be alone. The silence is the time when God breathes the breath of life, the Holy Spirit, into you, breathes into your body his love for you, and brings forth from your body love for others and for all creation. The silence is God's gift of love to you. And he continues with this reflection. Why sit with God in silence? Sit as you would sit at the bedside of someone you love in hospital, not knowing the answers, but longing to heal. Sit as you would hold the hand of an elderly person you love, who could not tell you the reason for, or the purpose or the day, but knows the touch. Sit as if floating in the sea and looking up at the sky, realizing it is in the struggle and the threshing that you drown, and in the stillness your body can ride the waves. Sit as if you are held by the person you love, your contours meeting and dissolving, breathing the same breath, sensing their warmth like the kiss of first sunshine. Sit as if you're holding a child in your arms, filled with both tenderness and the longing to protect. Sit, for you are waiting for the sparrows to land, to come close, to dodge, to explore, and then take off in the miracle of flight. Sit, listening to the fall of the rain, the wonderful soft drumming upon your roof, and dripping the eaves of your dwelling. Rain watering the dry land, quenching, nourishing the thirsty soil. The rest, the silence, the stillness, the patient waiting, all find their strength and joy in God. So give God the glory by simply resting in him, by trusting him completely, by waiting patiently for him. This patience honours him. It leaves him as God on the throne to do his work. It allows us to leave ourselves in his hands. It lets God be God. Instead of me praying, I'm simply going to open my study windows. Just breathe in the silence, the sounds of God's creation. Our cry, our God is crying out to you and to me. So be still, be silent before the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Amen. God bless you, and I'll see you next Thursday.